Hey, welcome back. I was just thinking about what we're studying today, which is operations. And operations kind of reminds me of Marvel movies. So I'm not really a Marvel movie type person, but I started watching them with Peyton this COVID break. And I'm like, okay, I can just watch some stuff so I can relate to him a little bit more. So we watched Venom like over Christmas. And then I watched Captain America and the Avengers and one other one I can't remember. But um, yeah, I'm stressed out when I watch them a little bit, and then I usually have dreams about fighting someone. So maybe I'm getting stronger watching them. So I'm actually kind of excited to watch more of them, just so I can understand all the characters. But there's just so many details in the Avengers Marvel movies, and so much going on at all times, and I just can't imagine producing that piece of art like they do. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, operations is kind of like that, where all the pieces have to work together in order for you to do what you want to do and accomplish what you want to accomplish. So operations, production, and purchasing all kind of go together. And so this is a topic I really want you to talk with your parents about because they all really work hand in hand. And an operations person might be called a productions person. Um, they're two separate things in HSB, but honestly, they go together hand in hand. So what is operations? It's all the activities that you need to keep your business functioning. There's inputs and outputs. So you can kind of think about operations in the sense of production, producing something and putting it together, and I'm going to have you do a little activity with that. So it's not always that, like we have an operations person in our school who makes sure that all of the buildings in our district are running, that we have custodial staff. But in the sense of just kind of teaching you about this, we're just going to talk about production in terms like putting things together and assembly. So you may never work in operations, but you probably use something every single day that was manufactured in operations. So converting inputs to outputs is operations. And in this little section, I have you actually watch a production video to look at how operations works. This is a video of an operations manager, so take a look at that. It's pretty. Operations managers focus on efficiency and effectiveness, so making sure that all the pieces are working together like the Marvel movies and making sure that it works to the benefit of the product or the customer ultimately. Some of the operations activities include purchasing, which is also called procurement. Procurement can be used in operations, but also in other kinds of companies. I had a friend who worked in procurement for Best Buy, and she purchased advertising for different markets during like the Super Bowl. She would buy advertising for Best Buy. Purchasing people look at materials, supplies, purchasing equipment, and then they might purchase products for resale. They look at making sure that you have things in on time, that you have the quantity that you need, and that you have a contract for the cost that it needs to be at. So those are all really important things. A lot of times there's contracts involved and negotiations involved in purchasing. So guess I need to turn my ringer off. They also are involved in production planning, like designing an operating system. So making sure that all of the pieces, kind of like a Rube Goldberg. I don't know if you've watched any Rubes ever, but that's kind of like operations. They also look at looking at the site selection. So they might, if you're building a new building, look at what the costs are that are involved. How many people do we need to hire? What kind of community do we want to locate in? And what's the layout of the space? So if you think about like the Roundy's Distribution Center, Target Distribution Center, the Harley Davidson building, any of those have looked at all of these before they open. Operations people look at quality. So obviously you've probably all ordered something on Amazon, and some of you probably have ordered things that are great, some that are not great, but we all look at reviews and do reviews. And operations people make sure that those reviews are great because they're producing a quality product. Some of them focus more on price than quality control, so obviously you know that going into it. They look at quality assurance before production, so all the pieces that are put together are the right kinds of pieces from the right places. They look at inspecting it after production. They want to make sure that there's not too much inventory and that there's enough inventory in on the right time. So it's a very like liquid process, making sure that everything is working together so you can keep production running. And as you've seen over COVID, companies are starting to use second and third shifts if they've never had before, just to space people out and also to keep production if they're an essential worker or piece of equipment. Operations people also do logistics. So I was in the military, and our logistics people made sure that all of the pallets that we would need to go to war were um, loaded correctly. We would practice this and load like a big C-130 airplane, and our logistics people would make sure that the materials that we needed out first would go in the back of the plane where we would unload, and the things that we didn't need for a while would go toward the front of the plane. They also make decisions about storage and transportation, so how it's going to get there, how fast it's needed, and then routing. Your parents might be involved in some of this. There's just so much involved in operations, and you can actually get a degree in operations. They do scheduling, so timeline, making sure that things are produced on time. They time out how long each step will take. If you've ever taken your car into the car dealership, they have like a timestamp on the work that they did, and they charge you by the hour. They look at making sure materials arrive on time and how long they're going to be at the production site. They also are involved in maintenance and repairs. And we usually go on a field trip in this class to Orbis, Menasha, and they have so many pieces of equipment that they use to manufacture like plastic pallets. And I'll show you a video maybe tomorrow on a product that they use or create at Orbis, which is in Oconomowoc. And they have machines that actually monitor the machines to make sure that they're doing routine maintenance. So that if a machine is producing like a plastic pallet or a recycling bin and it starts vibrating too much, they can tell that that machine is starting to wear or there's pieces on it starting to wear, and so then they replace those right away. It's pretty cool. They also look at expense control, making sure you're using the right parts, but that you're not going over budget. They also make sure that people are protected. So right now, PPE is really, really important with COVID, but in everyday work, for some places, making sure that you have that protective equipment on is just part of a daily life. They also want to make sure that they comply with the environmental laws, that you're not spilling things into the environment or into the ground, and then the security of the facility. So in this unit or this little section, you're going to find a video demonstration of an operation. So find something interesting to you, maybe shoe production. I have a video included on pencil production, so don't use that one, but I want you to watch this one just so you know what I'm talking about. Do something that's kind of interesting to you. And then there's a worksheet on Classroom for you to do just so you can kind of look at it. You only need to answer about 5 of the questions because some of the videos that you watch might not be able to be shown like the whole aspect of production, so you might not be able to see everything. Okay, that is it for production. That's just really usually a long lecture, so I'm sorry that it's 8 minutes still, but it's usually a lot longer than that. Hope you have a great day, and I miss you so much. Stay home and stay safe.